strap yourselves in. Okay? This is going to be a big period. Okay? So get ready. All right, you can be a bit nervous. You're allowed to do that. Be bold, be ambitious. Attach the seatbelt, put the helmet on. And next year, over this next period, we'll get to the place that we are really going to set those rocket launchers off. Okay, that's what this is about, so that we can actually do what we can achieve, that ambitious, bold mission of beating cystic fibrosis for good in the way that President Kennedy set out their mission to put men on the moon. We can do it. Okay, and that is a good segue to introduce Alan. Alan Clayton, who Lucy talked about. For those again privileged enough to hear him, I haven't found a person who's come away from a meeting with Alan talking about how you run an appeal of this sort without feeling inspired. So I know that you will all. This is a really important part of getting you all inspired to that purpose that we're now engaged in. He's going to talk about how we get there, and there are 3 elements he tells me. So. I think this is right. It's firstly about believing it. It's making that point of when President Kennedy said we're going to put men on the moon. Yeah, whatever. We're going to believe it. We need to believe it. If we don't believe it, then we're not going to get anyone else to believe it. So we need to believe it. And now we're explaining through evidence and research how we will believe it and how it can be done. How we learn it, how we make sure that it's absolutely integral to everything that we do. And then crucially, of course, how we do it.
Leave money to an organisation, just ask why. And when action for hearing loss, leave a legacy, why, just came up with 4 very simple stories. In my will, Archie will find another 10 years of cheerful good mornings. To 67-year-old Granny Dot, I leave Rachmaninoff's 3rd Symphony. I bequeath the whole of nature's dawn chorus to Angie Ronald, dreamer. My legacy to Molly and Dave is yet another night of nightmares about hippogriffs. Pass it on. Our unconscious need to sacrifice ourselves when we see someone else in need. Greater love has no one than this, and to lay down one's life for one's friends. Those that have and who are willing to sacrifice are the people we admire, the people we want to be. We have an urge to do it. I finally understood fundraising when the Japanese tsunami came out, and it squared something for me. 20 years ago, when I went to Fundraising 101 school, the consultant opened up and said, "Remember this, people give to need." And it jarred with me at the time. I won't mention who it is because he's still practicing now. And I didn't like it at the time. I thought it was more complicated than that. I need, you should. And I finally got it with the Japanese tsunami. When the tsunami hit and all hell broke loose, the first thing the Japanese government do was send out a worldwide news release that said, "Don't help us, you'll get in the way." We're Japan, we have earthquakes, we have tsunamis, we have a massive emergency fund for when this happens. We're the best trained, we have all the resources, we will deal with this. Don't help, we don't need help. They press released it. And what did we do? We steamed in with everything we had. We sent them billions, we sent them pack dogs, we sent them sniffer teams, we sent everything we could. So even though they explicitly said we don't need help, we helped anyway.
We need to act and behave as a very, very different organisation going forward. We've got to think much bigger, be prepared to ask for forgiveness, not for permission, and we've got to throw out some of the things that we hold dear. And we've done year after year after year after year. Because Einstein said, and I know this is true because I nicked it from Lucy Gale's blog last night, is that if you do the same old things, you pretty much get the same old results. So we've got to do new things or the same things in new ways. And we've got to be much, much more ambitious, not only in the work that we want to achieve across research and clinical care and support and information services, but how we raise the funds to deliver that. And as Alan said earlier, we need to raise an obscene amount of money, and only thinking big will enable us to achieve that.